there, LEGO fans! For today's build, we're bringing back a Star Wars Episode 6 with the Imperial Shuttle. Kit number 75302 at 660 pieces, and not to be confused with Shuttle Tidarian that appears early in the film. Instead of bringing Rebel forces down to Endor, this is the shuttle that Darth Vader uses to bring Luke Skywalker up to see the Emperor at the end of the film. And when built, this should be a nice little display piece, probably looking pretty good hanging from the ceiling, and that all sounds pretty great. So, without further ado, let's get this thing unboxed, get this thing built, so we can have a closer look at the Imperial Shuttle. So here we have one Imperial Shuttle, as seen in the original trilogy, and this one specifically being the one we see towards the end of Episode 6. And we can tell this because of the minifigures that come within, which we'll get to in a little more detail later. But as such, we can tell that this is the shuttle that Darth Vader used to bring Luke Skywalker from Endor up to the Death Star to meet the Emperor. And this may very well be the same shuttle that Luke used to escape the Death Star with Darth Vader's body just before it exploded. As it stands here, with the wings folded up, it's roughly 26 centimeters or about 10 inches tall, and when you unfold the wings, it gets to about 37 centimeters or 14.5 inches tall, and having a wingspan of about 35 centimeters or roughly 14 inches wide. So that's a reasonably sized kit for only 660 pieces. At the base of each of the folding wings, and at the center of the point at which they pivot around, each of these locations has 2 lasers pointing forward, for a total of 8 forward-facing armaments. And to go along with these, the shuttle comes with 1 pair of standard stud shooters, mounted on either side of the cockpit. Speaking of the cockpit, it's very easy to get your minifigure in and out of here, as just by pressing down on the tip of the nose, you tip the whole cockpit forward, making the interior very accessible. There's also plenty of space in here for our pilot to hold onto his weapon, so no need to store it somewhere else while he's in the pilot seat, and it closes up just as easily as it was to open. To access the passenger area, you must first push this to release, and once you do, the whole top fin just flips right back, giving easy access to the interior, where we have room for 2 minifigures and their lightsabers, one to sit on either side. Once the minifigures are safely stowed, you can flip the lid closed, where it effortlessly and securely latches shut. As you can see here, once latched shut, the fin is securely locked in place, and so long as you pick it up by the central spine in this fin, it holds together very securely. As to the minifigures, we have one standard Darth Vader, Luke as he was dressed for the showdown with his father in front of the Emperor, with one real and one robotic hand, and one standard Imperial pilot. Even though this kit is relatively small in comparison to a lot of the other larger, more impressive kits out there, I find that the price versus the display value and playability of this kit to hit a really nice sweet point. When it comes to play, I myself have definitely been enjoying flying this around, making all those little spaceship sounds, firing the turbo lasers, and just having all kinds of fun with it. Definitely more than I thought I would have. And I find that folding the wings up and down to be very satisfying. Although I do find that this works best as a two-handed operation. But I think it's worth mentioning that I find this fits very well in my adult-sized hands. If you are a junior LEGO fan, I'm not sure I'd be able to grip it as well as I can. As to the display value, I find this one also gets pretty high marks. It looks great sitting on whatever surface with its wings folded up. If you did want to hang it from the ceiling, attaching to that central spine and the top fin is very easy, so a ceiling hang will be quite simple. And while I find it a little disappointing that it doesn't have a display stand that allows you to display it with the wings open, it's a very simple thing to make one for yourself. So all options are on the table and very accessible. As to the parts to reuse, while there's many great LEGO elements in here ready for whatever your imagination has to throw at it, I don't find there's any particular pieces, no LEGO elements that are a little rarer, a little more unusual, or nothing that really stands out. But that's just fine, because there's still a lot of great pieces in here for those that don't plan on keeping it assembled. For my final thoughts, I have to say that this kit is well suited for the AFOLs, junior LEGO fans, and Star Wars fans alike. At $100 Canadian, I find this to be one of the better value Star Wars kits out there, and at this price point, I'm sure it will not disappoint.